Welcome everyone to my channel. I hope you enjoy your stay. This video is a time-lapse build of a pool bar which was commissioned to me back in April 2021. I was given the original building plans and many reference photos from the client of this bar, so it's not a tutorial as such, but I will add commentary throughout. There'll also be closed captions should you choose. Enjoy! Scaled down from the original plans to 1/48 scale and drew out my plans in my little sketchbook here, as you can see. All of the walls, the doors, the windows, etc. I started by gluing coffee stirrers together, making them appear as slats. I repeated this for each external wall and one internal bar wall. I labelled and secured using masking tape, and then I double checked all my measurements and cut each wall piece to size. I then marked where each of my inner joins were and the windows, the bar hatch and the doors. I used blank matchsticks to create door frames, window frames and the bar hatch. I'm just using an Evo stick wood glue to secure these pieces. And as you can see, very technical measuring. Once I'd glued all of the inner frames in place, I cut out with a craft knife the windows and the doorways. Okay, all of the glue is completely dried. I sanded the frames down and made sure my internal walls were smooth without any traces of glue. Then on the outer walls, using coffee stirrers again, I cut them to length and halved them to create the outside window frames. I made sure, when making the frames, that I left an overlap for my window panes to sit in without falling out. I used an acetate sheet to create window panes, cut them to size and installed. The overlapped frame on one side stops the acetate from slipping through. Now, using very thin 3mm strip balsa wood, I made another set of window frames that will sit inside the main frames and secure the acetate panes in place. Now, to make the double doors, I used coffee stirrers and a 3mm strip wood. The coffee stirrers made the front and the back of the door, and the strip was sandwiched between. This creates a box, so I can insert the acetate for the glass of the door. I then made a small overlay from strip wood, which will slightly overlap the other door when closed. I made sure, throughout cutting and door construction, that the doors fit the hole and the frame that I had made for them in the wall. Bar door in the original bar is a solid pine door made from planks, so I cut the door to size from 1.5 basswood sheet and added a slightly smaller piece to the front of the door, which I scored planks into using a nail art tool. I then made a tiny door handle using a small square of the same basswood, and using a pin vise drill made a hole through and through the door itself. I then used a piece of sturdy jewellery wire to create the handle. I repeated this for the main entry door and for the windows on the pool cue wall. Once I had glued in the bar door, I used long beads to represent the hinges. However, I later swapped these out for small cuts of wire, as I felt that they better fit the scale of the model. There is a pool cue rack between the windows on this wall. Looking back, I wish I had found a better way to make the pool cues. I sanded cocktail sticks, but I was unable to make them narrow enough. So if anyone has any techniques or tips for this which might work better, please leave a comment down below. However, despite the bulkiness and the off-scale cues, I do think they look cute, and I even made a little chalk. Making the dartboard. I used a thick cardstock as the dartboard surround, and I scaled this down from the original electronic dartboard in the bar and directly copied the colour scheme as best I could. The face of the dartboard is a thin black card which I divided into the segments and painted with acrylics. I was very happy with how this tiny dartboard turned out. I think it's super cute. There is also a painting of Bob Marley on the wall beside the window on the pool cue wall, so I painted a miniature version of it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Firstly, I faintly drew out the painting onto a thin black card, and then I painted in the acrylics. I also added 2 more paintings behind the bar, which were also scaled from the original artwork in the reference photos. Let me know in the comments what you think about my Bob Marley painting. As an attention to detail, I also added a piece of acetate as the glass picture frame over the picture of Bob. On the back wall, there are two cutouts, the two-tone Logan Man, Walt Jabsco, and Beat Girl. I used the reference photos to work out the scale in comparison to the floor and the ceiling. Firstly, I drew the outlines onto white cardstock, and then fine line painted them with black acrylic. The originals have a small white border from where they were cut from acrylic, so I tried to emulate this as closely as possible when cutting out with craft knife. I may be biased, but I also think these turned out awesome. I also added the air conditioner unit. I made this from basswood pieces glued together, and then I sanded the edges slightly rounded, and then I painted to match the original AC. Love adding cute details such as the electric sockets and the light switches. I made them from small cuts of basswood painted with metallic acrylics, and then I used a thick gauge jewellery wire to make it look like the trunking in the original scale pool bar. The bar hatch is a more orange pine colour compared to the rest of the bar interior and the woodwork. I painted this to match the original as much as possible and added a small pyrographed log bar decoration. Making the base. I used a 5mm hardboard and cut it fairly easily using a craft knife. I drew on the floor plan in my scale so I knew where my walls were going to be. I added a thin foundation frame for each wall so it would be easier for each wall to glue into place securely, and these were made from halved coffee stirrers. My one regret is that one of my walls is slightly out on the inside, which is quite frustrating, but there's nothing we can do about it now. And the overhangs at each corner from the wall are to give the impression of the construction method in which the original bar was made, where the wall planks were stacked in turn. Now time to make the bar. I used a mirrored card to make the back shelving wall. Cut it to size. I made this little bar fridge using basswood, a reflective card and acetate sheets for shelves. I put long beads inside the fridge to look like wine bottles and such. Please leave a comment below if you would like to see a tutorial for this bar fridge. I also made a bar mat, which I copied directly from the original scale, and then added various beads and gems to appear as alcohol bottles and liquor on the glass shelves. Making the floor was much long. I marked with faint pencil the top of each piece, and then I drew out a 5mm squared grid into the white paper. Then I drew the pattern of the floor within the grid, and I tried to copy the original floor pattern as much as possible. After drawing the pattern, I painstakingly cut out the shaded pattern from the paper with a craft knife. And what feels like hours later, I'd like to say it was worth it, as I do think it looks awesome. Glued the two parts together using PVA, and once installed, I also sealed the floor with PVA, which gives it a dull sheen. I made tiny end tables to match those in the bar and the dartboard mat, complete with the markers for the competitors, a couple of bar stools and another cabinet in the bar behind the door. The pool table. I didn't film making this, as after the initial plans, which I scaled down from the original table, it took me a few tries to get the angles completely correct. What do you think? Before I secured everything into the bar, I did add the doormat inside of the main entry doors. You may also notice that there is a rather snazzy looking jukebox. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see tutorials for the pool table and the jukebox. I added the pool table and also made the plastic chairs from polymer clay and wire for their legs. Enjoy the photo of them marinating in the glue. I couldn't forget the Ska Bar sign above the jukebox. Making the ceiling and the lighting. I added the structural beams to a piece of basswood for the ceiling, and the bar has metal trunking which the lights hang from, so I made false lights from buttons and beads. I drilled holes into the ceiling where I wanted the light to be and used a garden LED strip light. As you can see, I painted some of the lights with red nail varnish. This was to make sure that these lights, which go directly above the bar room, were red to match the original Ska Bar, and then the lights in the pool table area are white. I secured the lights with masking tape. I did prior check that this would not cause any fire hazards, etc. before securing this way. I tried using a stapler, but my staples were far too weak for the job. I then used wire to attach my false button lights and to represent the electric trunking along the ceiling beams. And I will include a link to a very useful video that I found about how to wire and light up miniatures, such as book nooks, etc., which can also be applied to dioramas, dollhouses and other miniatures. The pool table light was an absolute nightmare to make, and honestly I wish I'd just found a Dollhouse pre-made item for this. Making a frame for the top part of the roof to sit onto, not forgetting to cut out a slot for the power for the lights. I also apologise if the video quality is glitchy in places. It seems it's an issue with the video editor software that I'm using, and I currently haven't been able to source any better software which I can use easily and within my budget. But I am aware of the quality issue, so I do really want to fix that. Okay, so now I'm attaching the roof, and I'm adding the facings to the roof as well, using coffee stirrers again. I mixed the paint to match the original bar as best I could from the reference photos. So enjoy some painting ASMR. I am so pleased with how it turned out. I think if I were to go back to this project, if I could, I would put hinges on the roof so the client could fully open the bar and see all the cute minis inside properly. I would also really love to find a better way to make the pool cues in this scale, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm always keen for suggestions, tips or tricks from other miniaturists and crafters. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the like button and subscribe for more minis. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.